Yeah. Well, I go back to what's the ROI? What's the cost to raise a dollar? And, do you need a consultant every month for many years? Probably not. If so, then maybe you've got a structural challenge within your organization.
Absolutely.
Or I have actually started seeing some nonprofits where they do have contractors out who fill most of the roles.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how effective that is when, really what we're trying to do is create stability in relationships. But I have seen that a, capital campaign consultant, feasibility study consultant, or board development, training, any of those one-off kind of engagements, they can, extend your fundraising ability by 10x minimum.
Absolutely.
So yeah, if we're doing a major push and a major change of course for a nonprofit, that's worth the investment. And I like how you said, can you afford not to? I
Mhm.
was really thinking about like, do you really want to grow, inch by inch, or do you want somebody who can accelerate the growth, get some of the background stuff done for you, like the organization of the plan, for example?
Mhm.
We used to talk a lot about case leadership prospect plan. So that's the
Yes.
framing that I learned at CCS. So shout out to
Yep.
them for that. I still use it
I do
regularly.
too.
Do you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I-
I hear you say it in your podcast all the time. So, and I'm always like, yep, case leadership. I mean, like that's just kind of, that's our training, but that is
yeah.
how I tend to approach, especially, um, campaigns. Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah. What's a roadblock that you've faced in fundraising consulting? Have you ever seen a situation where you're like, this is a big nut to crack and I don't know how to handle it. So maybe you figured it out. But like, what did you use in terms of tools that you called on to crack a really big challenge?
Yeah. All right. So as I said, I've worked in every sector,
Yes.
just about.
Woo.
Um, I I would probably say was always just kind of like a stark challenge was in the religious sector when
Mm,
because it's hierarchical, and so oftentimes the organization will decide to undertake a major campaign, but that happens within the individual parishes, right?
right.
And so sometimes you have parishes who are on board and they want to participate, and there's always an incentive to do so for their own churches, their own parishes, and then you have those who do not do not see it happening, do not think that the parish or the church can raise the money that the goal that's been kind of established for them,
Yeah.
and that I've done some like really big like diocesan campaigns, and I'll say that when I hear folks at the onset say like, oh, there's no way that our church could raise this amount of money, right? And I'm always just kind of like smile to myself because I'm like, you actually can, like you actually can. And like and the only reason why you don't think you can is because you haven't yet,
Mm,
right?
mhm.
And so you can, and I'm going to show you how. And not only am I going to show you how, but I'm going to walk with you through this journey, right?
Mm,
And I think that something like that, like the you said like how did you like overcome it, or
yeah.
for in this situation it's like how do I anticipate that they overcome, how do I help them overcome it, right?
Yes.
But I think it just is a matter of like I've seen this before. I have experienced this before, I have
Experience.
seen this before, I have confidence in you, and this is a part of the communications that we talked about earlier, like how can I communicate in a way that fosters trust,
Mm,
right? In the plan in my head and the plan that's on your own paper, but like how do I get them to trust what I have to say and walk with me on this journey? And more oftentimes than not, people were pleasantly surprised at what could
they can
happen.
do it.
And like you say, once there's this like, acute need for immediate funding or whatever,
Hmm.
but it strengthens the system long term, right? Because
Hmm.
now oh, we actually need to have a tracking system, and we
Yeah.
actually need to like have a case, and we actually need to check in on a regular basis and meet benchmarks and ask for money.
Yeah. Do the
So
ask.
Yeah, like, did you ask? So I'd probably say that that's an example. And it got easier as as time went on.
Yeah, I do. I really echo what you're saying in terms of building systems for future success. I worked with a client who had never done major gifts before, and so we launched the major gifts campaign through the we launched major gifts program through a capital campaign that
Mhm.
integrated major gifts
Yes.
predominantly.
Yes.
And I loved it because we not only were doing training and orientation on the capital campaign, but by way of that, then each employee who was participating was then leveled up in
Yeah.
terms of what can they then do going forward. How do they shift their mentality or thinking around special events or around mailers or around phone-a-thons or whatever they're doing that's their fundraiser that was not integrating major gifts. How can they then start integrating it? And it's not just the mentality of being ready to make an ask, but it's also the organizational structure of, how are you inviting, upgrading, retaining your donors? And through campaign work or through major gifts work or consulting work, there can be new strategies or techniques integrated so seamlessly that you don't even realize it's happened until the consultant leaves and the shop is operating at a 2x or 5x or 10x you know, uh, system rate.
Yeah.
I was losing my
Absolutely.
word for a moment. But yeah, I've seen that work really well as well. And that's definitely something that gives me fuel and passion is seeing those success stories afterwards.
Absolutely. I mean, that is like I say like I internally smile when I hear like there's no way we can do that, and then I like internally smile again as I'm walking out the door, like, see, you did it. And then
Yeah.
to hear about something else that happens far along or down the line, or to see the building go up that you help
Yes.
raise for, or that that is a different level of like happiness, I think.
Yeah.
To see
What's
your
it?
work made manifest.
Yeah. What does spark your joy as a consultant? Is it the end results?
Mm, oh, that's a good question. Marie, was what spark joy?
Oh yeah, Marie Kondo. It's like, does this outfit spark joy?
Uh, right.
Does this book
What
spark
spark?
joy?
That's a good question though. What
Does
sparks
this
my
job spark
joy
joy?
as a consultant in this work? So so certainly like seeing the end result, like
Yeah.
obviously, we like to see something happen as a result of the work that we put in. But I will say, I think it's like just building relationships with folks. I have been so blessed to have worked with some truly amazing people that,
Mm.
if not for the work that I do, I would not have been able to meet or to work with. Right.
Mm.
And I've made good friends. I've made amazing colleagues. I've been able to like travel all over, helping, nonprofits in different sectors and in different locations. And I think, that for me is the piece. I get really emotional when I have to like leave a client, like especially
Mm.
if I've been on site for a long time and I've worked with them, because you build those relationships, and just like you employ them to do with their donors and their supporters and their friends and their constituencies, like you do that. We as consultants do that with them as well, and so
Yeah.
to do that, that piece of it for me is I get joy from it.
I love it. I feel the same way. I had a conversation where I said, eventually I won't be here and, I'll set you up for success afterwards. I'll draft your letters and we'll get a whole plan, a continuation campaign plan.
Yeah,
And as I said that, I was like, I feel a little bit sad.
I know. I'm a crier, so I know it doesn't seem that way, but I do. I get emotional
Oh.
when I leave a client. So some
So
of them, some of
as
them.
you and I are such relators, and I think that's probably been instrumental in creating great client relationships and long-lasting partnerships and business, right? So for
Yeah.
me, my business is 100% repeat or referral. Now that
Mhm.
I'm doing the podcasting and Clubhouse, I've actually started getting more inbound than I had as a referral, because now these
Good
are new
job.
folks who've
You
heard of me.
diversify,
Thank you.
diversify.
Yes, yes, diversification is important.
Yeah.
Um, but I was going to say that my heart is really with the connection with the people, and so I'm wondering, how are you managing as we've now been in lockdown for about a year? I have clients that I've literally never been in the same room with.
Yes.
And
Same.
at first I was pretty concerned about it. Like, can I still build rapport? Can I still read the room? And I've found that it's not the same skill sets that I'm calling on, but there are others that are readily available to me that have popped up or shown up in a way that I didn't know I had or that were available.
Yeah. Like what, Lindsay?
Wait, this is my interview. I should have guessed that would get turned on me if I'm making a statement like that. I think that it's actually been holding the space for casual chat, just like you would in a hallway. So if I was walking into a board meeting and I bump into one or two of the folks at the water fountain, or as I'm getting my seat, there was a rapport that was built. So now, since we don't have that opportunity for the one-on-one rapport, actually try to hold some space on my agendas when it's not a serious board meeting. We don't really have a lot of time for that. But if it's a weekly check-in with staff, then I will do like a 5 to even 15 minutes of just connecting and what's going on in your world, what's happening in the space of whether it's the news or truthfully a lot of joking about presenting on camera. Like, have you started using filters on your Zoom, or how do you handle, for me, I'm wearing a headband today so that nobody can tell that maybe I didn't shampoo my hair this morning. And so kind of laughing about like the nuances of being a human during shelter in place. Or talking about, just have you considered traveling, or how is your family? Or, some of us have lost people in our lives during this time. Many of us have, right? So if not death, then a lot of mental health issues. And so holding a space for the human connection has actually created a very deep relationship with a number of my clients that I didn't anticipate, and perhaps even deeper than if we were in person.
Good.
Upon reflection.
Yeah.
Maybe not
Yeah.
with each of the board members, because
It's hard.
it's hard because nobody wants to be stuck in 9-hour days of Zoom meetings. So if you can cut back from an hour meeting down to 45 or even 50, I think that's when you're winning a lot of praise, as opposed to chit-chatting and then having it go over 5 or 10 minutes. I think that's where people are really starting to feel that fatigue.
Yeah.
What about you? How are you feeling? Like,
Yeah.
are you connecting with your clients? Do you feel lonely? I mean, what's the experience in terms of service delivery
so
and relationship
it's
building?
definitely different, obviously, like for everybody, right? And I
Mhm.
think what you're talking about is like bringing like this human authenticity to the work, right?
Yeah.
The reality is like we all are in a different space right now, and I definitely believe like exactly what you say about like being real about what it looks like to be having, running your business or running your organization through, Zoom mostly.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I think has been important for me, and I try to, think about and reflect on is, we essentially have to do what we ask our clients to do, right? And
Mhm.
so for me, it is like, okay, acknowledging what is real and what is true today, you know, and then working within that um, to maximize your opportunity for a desired outcome. Right. And so I think, as I ask them to do that, I'm trying to do that. So it
Mm.
is recognizing that, it's just going to be on Zoom right now. And bringing that human element to it. And then like, as we think about, as I have thought about like what that means in terms of the practice, we are asking them to pivot and to think about things differently. Like we have to do that too. If we're asking them to kind of like diversify their sources and their methods, then we're doing that to it, as well. So for me, that looks like diversifying my offerings, as a consultant, and making sure that there are digital platforms, and making sure that there are ways to engage that speak to the moment, but then also allow us to maximize, the desired outcome.
With this latest valuable episode, we'd love to thank you for joining us on the Creating Community for Good podcast. If you found today's show valuable, simply visit our website, creatingcommunityforgood.com, to leave a review as well as to get access to additional resources and relevant links from this show. Stay tuned for more episodes.